Come, Holy Spirit.
Hey, Bellator Society. Welcome to our live show. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tracy Eddy, and my co-host, Fran, is in Nashville, Tennessee. Good morning, Fran.
Good morning. Did you say where you are?
I'm in Arizona. I'm melting in Arizona. Melting, really.
Yeah. How hot is it there?
I think today's gonna be like 112.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's tough. And I dropped
That's not a real number.
And it's every day. Every day. Speaking of Arizonans, we have a guest today, a good friend of Bellator Society and of the Eddy family, Dave McMaster. He is the president of Uncommon Giving, and he is also in Arizona melting with us. Good morning, Dave.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Fran. And thank you, Bellator Society, for letting me spend a little bit of my morning with you guys and you with me.
We are so excited. So, okay, Dave is the president of Uncommon Giving, which is a new company they launched this summer. And it's really a generosity company. And they work with nonprofits, and we're going to let Dave talk about it. But I just want to say on the get-go, the Lord his timing is always so much better than ours, because we've been trying to get him on for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And there was just a lot of conflicts and stuff. And finally we landed on this week, and kind of, I thought haphazardly. And his wife said, well, Monday is National Nonprofit Day. So it's like perfect. So Jesus really kind of got you on here. So we look like we know what we're doing in our scheduling, but really the Lord is like helping us.
Yeah. When it goes well, it is not us.
It's not us.
If I know anything, I know this.
That's so true.
Well, speaking of National Nonprofit Day, Dave, I would like for you to maybe give us like a little bit of a primer about the difference between like a for-profit and a nonprofit, just to like jump in, because we're kind of dealing in both spheres with Uncommon Giving. And so making that distinction on the front end from someone who is doing this professionally and has all of the words would be very helpful.
Well, Fran, thank you. I don't know if I have all the words, but I will say it is a little unique, and the question's a good one, because a lot of people don't understand what we're trying to do with Uncommon. And so just organizationally, and I hope I don't lose half your audience right here by talking about this, but we are a for-profit entity, and we have helped found a independent but related nonprofit called Uncommon Charitable Impact. So the for-profit side of us, and then there's this nonprofit side. And so as a generosity platform, what we hope to do is, and what we aspire to do, is kind of awaken generosity in the hearts of millions of people throughout the United States, drive them to our platform and give them a great experience, connect the donor with a nonprofit that's operating and impacting a cause that's near and dear to their heart. And so if we do that, we then will create this loop of generosity. And I think in order to effectuate that, we had to create a nonprofit that would serve as the tax deduction vehicle, if you will. It's so that when you go and you give donations through our platform, you receive an immediate deduction for that gift.
Okay, that's very helpful. Just making that distinction between the two. How did this even get started? Like, how did you even start thinking about this concept? Because I've never heard of anything like this before.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this goes back to our founder and CEO, Ron Baldwin. Probably the most generous individual that I've ever kind of known and come into contact with. And the story there actually dates back probably a decade or more. He founded a bank in Leawood, Kansas called Cross First Bank. And one night they had a Christmas party. And at that Christmas party, he took $1,500 of his own money, $100 on each of 15 tables, and said, hey, table, discuss amongst yourselves, but come to an agreement and find one person to give that $100 to, somebody that is in need. And so they did this, and it really sparked a conversation. So that $1,500 ended up turning into over $13,000 donated amongst these tables, who just discussion of the need, that discovery process of talking to your table, mates and leaders, and just saying, hey, what can we do to help? And in fact, one of the ladies at the bank ended up donating a car as well. So it's that kind of generosity that got Ron thinking, hey, there's something more. But really what triggered it is afterwards, when a couple of his board members came up to him and said, "Hey, Ron, I'm really embarrassed about this, but I couldn't think of one person that needed $100 that it just wasn't in their social circle."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where Ron started thinking, well, what if we built a platform to help educate and empower even those that may not be in the thick of it, to provide opportunities for generosity. And I think that was kind of the beginning of this whole stage of, all right, let's think through this. And really over time, it just kind of morphed into, all right, well, I think there's a opportunity, a business opportunity, a community opportunity. And so that's kind of the origins of where it began.
So I, full disclosure, we're good family friends with the McMasters. And so I can speak really from knowing them personally. They do have a heart for service. You and your wife are always doing something with your church, with different nonprofits. You're very, very active.
And your children.
Yeah, they got all the girls. They deliver
It's a family
turkeys.
affair.
They really do a lot of service and are really involved in their community. But from what I read, I think on y'all's website, is that like charitable giving is way down. And so can you talk about that? Because in my mind, it's like, well, I feel like we have a lot of opportunities to give, or we're asked to give, or asked to participate, but apparently that's not the norm.
So
is that what y'all have found, is that giving is not really kind of at the forefront of people's thoughts and their lifestyle?
You're right on. So I risked losing half your audience when I talked about the organizational structure.
So now we're losing the other half. Is that what you're about to tell?
I'm risking losing the other half by talking about the statistics behind giving. But I'll give you a few data points. The Giving USA 2020 study just came out, which measures generosity each year. It's an annual study, and it's $450 billion was given away within the United States last year. It's a huge number, right?
Right.
But what we found is, since 2009, there was a study from the Generosity Commission that talked about, since 2009, we actually have 20 million fewer donors in this country. We have 10 million fewer volunteers in this country. So since that last great financial crisis, we actually have fewer people giving more. But what we want to do, and what Uncommon Giving aspires to do, is create this national donor database, connecting donors with local nonprofits that they're really passionate about, and really not just replace that 20 million that has disappeared, but we want to grow that 20 million. And it's about the highest compliment you can give to Jenica and myself when you talk about our kids, raising them up to be that next generation of generosity. And so we, in the platform, as we develop this platform, as you'll witness the company mature, you'll see some pretty neat opportunities how we'll gamify the experience to engage kids and families to come together and say, hey, maybe every Sunday night, let's gather and let's talk about what local nonprofit or national nonprofit's doing some great work, and let's support them. Engage the kids in that conversation.
So speaking of support, besides financial support, are there opportunities for just volunteer? Because obviously we're in a pandemic. A lot of people are losing their jobs or taking pay cuts and things like that. So I'm assuming the dollars are not there, or, not as many people just have that much, extra income to be able to give. But do y'all connect people like volunteer, as far as volunteer opportunities? How does that work?
Yeah. So again, it's a great question. And I'll say not at the moment.
Okay.
We just launched in July. That's very much kind of top of mind for us.
Right.
And I'll say this, our founder talks about serving is nothing more than giving. And we give in really 5 ways. There's 3 that I'm sure you've heard of: time, talent, treasure, but we've added testimony and thanks. And that experience. So when we give of our time, or we give of our talent, or we give of our treasure, it creates an opportunity for testimony to tell the story of who we are, what we're doing, what we're passionate about. And it also gives an opportunity for that feedback, that loop, for the nonprofit on our platform can communicate with the donors and say, hey, here's the impact of your gift. We've created this giving impact video opportunity. So we feel, when we were talking about those numbers earlier, that 20 million fewer donors, we think one of the reasons why that's occurred is because it's become very transactional nature. And so what we want to do is, hey, let's instill some joy in that process. And I think donors, I know you and I know Fran, I know how generous the two of you are. And I think what you want to know is not unusual. And it's not unique to you in the sense that when you give a gift, you want to know what the impact of that gift is.
Right.
You want to know that those resources are being stewarded well.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to do with Uncommon Giving. We want to create that opportunity for these nonprofits to communicate with the donor base.
Yeah. And I think it's so smart the way you're doing it as well, kind of revisiting what you were saying about forming the new generation of givers. Like you're doing it in a way that is pertinent to how people are interacting in general, because, thinking back, to my childhood, and even just a couple of years ago, before COVID, let's say, like, people would come to your church or you would attend a presentation at like a Christian youth camp or something. And you had the opportunity to see people in real life giving that testimony. And we don't really have that option right now. I mean, by God's grace, we will have it eventually again. Like we're not going to live in this quarantine forever, but that's where we are right now. And in a way, that's where our children are growing up, not necessarily in the quarantine, but in this online, very comfortable with the testimonies online, like very comfortable with Instagram stories, super comfortable with TikTok and stuff like that. Like that's the generation that we're trying to form into responsible human beings who love other human beings, and doing it through an online platform, I think is genius. So kudos to that end. But I do have a question. You mentioned kind of two pieces from your founder, the educate piece and the empower piece. How does Uncommon Giving's platform educate people about what is available in terms of where to donate, how to donate? What is the education piece there?
Yeah, no, it's great question. On the education side of things, what we're trying to do, and I'll ask for grace in that we have just launched to the public in July. So we are very much in a give us your feedback, a refinement process.
Yes.
But I think one of the ways that we're doing that is, so we have over 1.3 million nonprofits that are currently represented on our platform.
Wow.
Say that number again, Dave.
1.3 million nonprofits.
That's incredible.
It is incredible because I know for every nonprofit you have to put work into getting them kind of on your platform. So that's a lot of work.
No,
it's a lot of work.
And if I can just brag on the nonprofits out there for a second and say, these nonprofits, they are doing it. I sent a post around on Monday in celebration of Nonprofit Day. And the message that I wanted to get out there to our nonprofits that are participating on this platform is, listen, you are doing the messy, nasty, most difficult work that you can imagine. And quite frankly, there's very, very few people that want to engage in that work. And it's really kind of a calling, if you will. And those nonprofits, they want to do, the individuals that work for those nonprofits, they engage in that work because they're passionate about helping people, the environment, animals, whatever that is. They don't get involved in that charitable work to go raise money.
Right. Nobody gets, if you're doing it right, you don't get rich in nonprofit world.
That's exactly right. And so that's where Uncommon Giving comes in. We want to serve as a tool in the toolbox to help build sustainability for nonprofits long-term, because we recognize how important they are to our country, our society, our communities.
I love it. Can we get down into the nitty gritty of what the platform looks like? Like we mentioned earlier that, did we mention that we are in partnership with Uncommon Giving?
We haven't mentioned it, but you should do that now.
I just did. So explain that if you don't mind, Dave. How are we partnering with Uncommon Giving, and how can other people partner to make this more effective as a platform and as a ministry, really?
So we are. I'll address the first part of that, which is our partnership. These are one of the things that I am so excited about, and it is so cool from my standpoint, getting to wake up and do the job that I get to do, because I get to connect with people like yourself who have a heart for this. I mean, I'm going to brag about Bellator Society here for a second and just say, as I've watched your story unfold, you're truly serving as a light, and there's a need for what you do. And so it's exciting to see that. And I think every nonprofit out there, they're doing a similar thing, just in a different cause, different category. And I think, so for us, uncommongiving.com, one of our secret sauces, if you will, is going to be our giving funds. And think of, for those who are, aware of financial markets, you may be aware of a mutual fund, which is kind of a basket of companies gathered around a certain business sector. Well, we've created a giving fund, which is a basket of charities impacting in a holistic way, a cause that is hopefully important and attractive to that donor. And one of the fun things that we've gotten to do is, and I don't know if I'm the one to do the big reveal here, but we have a giving fund that I think we'd like to announce and talk about a little bit on this podcast. But Uncommon Giving is extremely excited to be partnering with Bellator Society about creating a Bellator Society giving fund. And
so we have established a giving fund. That's what it's called, right? A Bellator Society giving fund. And we've chosen a handful of nonprofits that we are passionate about. And we've given them to Dave and his team, Jenica, his wife, who works at the company, and they've made our page. And Freen, do you want to announce the organizations that we're
Absolutely. So we
highlighting?
chose a couple of kind of national ones and a couple of more local ones that are, again, but all of these are very close to our heart. The first of which most people would be familiar with, it's St. Vincent de Paul Society. This is a national organization serving the poor and underprivileged. Many churches have St. Vincent de Paul societies at their church, but this is sort of like a national umbrella of those groups. And then secondarily, on a national level, we have the La Brea Society. We interviewed one of the aspirants to the Dominican monastery a couple of weeks ago. And she introduced us really to this idea where, the people who are trying to do God's will for their lives often have impediments. They have, things that are holding them back. And one of those is debt. And so the La Brea Society helps to relieve debt for men and women who are entering religious life or the priesthood. Again, following God's call for their lives, we're just kind of taking away some of those barriers that exist because of a number of reasons why you might have debt, but school debt is a huge thing. And I think we're seeing that across the board, not just in people who are pursuing religious life, but like that's a huge thing for young people. And so that's what the La Brea Society does. And we also have St. Joseph's Helpers, which is the Arkansas Pregnancy Resource Center. We have kind of like the religious side, and then we have the more secular side of the same organization. St. Joseph's Helpers is so close to both mine and Tracy's hearts. Tracy actually worked as a counselor there, volunteered her time there, and we have both been contributors to the St. Joseph's Helpers and Arkansas Pregnancy Resource Center for years and years and years, because helping women in crisis pregnancies is how we function as a pro-life people. It's not just holding signs and rosaries in front of abortion clinics. Those are very important things to educate people and to pray for people and to bring in the spirituality. But then we have this real desire to serve women who are in need during crisis pregnancies and to educate them about parenthood, because we hope that they're choosing life. We hope that they're choosing adoption. And we want to facilitate that as best we can. And then our last one is Redbird Ministries. And again, we have had Kelly, the founder of Redbird Ministries, on our podcast a while back. her ministry is so beautiful. Her nonprofit is to serve families in grief who have lost a child. And again, one of our values, one of our works of mercy is comforting the grieving. And I can't think of anything more beautiful and anything more important than comforting parents who have lost children, whether through miscarriage or children through childhood into adulthood. It changes your life. As the child of a parent who has lost a child, I can tell you it changes people, and they need help, and you never recover from it, but they need help to learn how to cope with that reality. And Redbird Ministries does that so beautifully. And really, they are one of the only ones in our entire country that is doing that, focusing on child loss through ministry, especially in the Catholic Church. So we love Redbird Ministries as well. So those are our 4 for now.
So we've picked our 4. We're so excited. Obviously, we're passionate, because I almost like started crying just when you were talking about it. So that shows you we have a heart for these ministries. So we gave them to Dave and his team. And now what?
Now they are discovered.
Now what do we do?
Whoever, your audience right now can go to uncommongiving.com, go to Discover Nonprofit, type in the search bar Bellator Society or just Bellator, and you'll see it automatically populate with the option for the Bellator Society Fund. So, and you'll have the give option. You'll be prompted to open an account. It'll be an expedited process. It's just name, first, last name, email, provide a password, and then you've got the opportunity to give. And the exciting thing about this from Uncommon Giving's standpoint is it's an opportunity with one gift to impact multiple nonprofits. This is what we talk about when we talk about a holistic approach to causes. It's an incredible opportunity that cuts down on the friction, the cost of generosity, which is something that not a whole lot of people talk about, but it's there. And so I guess if I was to say, make a pitch to your audience to say, hey, support this fund, it would be go to uncommongiving.com, discover Bellator Society Fund, and provide an ACH. There's zero cost to the transaction when you fund your gift through an ACH. So transaction fee, 0. We cover that cost. So my encouragement to your listeners would be provide the ACH. It's fully protected. It's tokenized information. We have top security with it, protecting your privacy, your personal identifiable information. And go make that up, go transact that generosity now.
So let me ask a question. So first of all, thank you. Dave told us this morning that he and his wife have already put our first donation into our account. So we're just completely honored that you did that, and excited that we have money in our account to give to these organizations. So a big thank you to y'all for supporting us in that way. But so if John Smith wants to give to the Bellator Fund, he would go on and he would discover us, make a little account, put money in. Can he choose Redbird Ministries, or does it kind of get split evenly? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So our You Give funds or our giving funds, how they operate is when you give right now, what it is when you give to one, it will be split out pro rata or evenly distributed amongst those 4. So,
okay,
for example, a $100 gift to the Bellator Society Fund, 25 via ACH, so no transaction cost. $25 would go to each of the 4 nonprofits.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. That's awesome.
That's amazing. It really is awesome. And I did have another follow-up question in terms of why would you say this is good for the giver to do? We obviously know why it's good for the receiver, but why is Uncommon Giving particularly good for the giver?
Yeah, it's our value proposition, right? And so I think it goes to we see generosity going the way of kind of Amazon. Amazon provides a real retail experience, right? They don't own all the SKUs. They own some SKUs, but they have all these third-party vendors. All right. So I think the analogy is really applicable to the generosity space. And what Uncommon Giving is attempting to do is to build this platform and encourage people to be generous, and we're trying to awaken that generosity. And so for the donor, what it does is it presents a discoverability option. So education, you're going to learn about 1.3 million nonprofits. Actually, you'll learn about more. And a little teaser is in the next 60 days, we hope to be expanding that number dramatically. And there will be some announcements that come from the company down the road. But, the one-stop shop to give. So every year, for those who give to multiple organizations, come tax time, you're always wondering, hey, who did I give? What did I give to? We're having to look back on, if you have a giving account, you'll have a list of everything right there with Uncommon Giving. It'll tell you all 15 or 20 organizations that you've supported in that taxable year. So there's that. There's, we are in the process of becoming a SEC registrant. So registering with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And that will provide a certain level of trust. I can tell you, we will be maybe the only generosity platform in the country that is registered with them doing what we do. I'll qualify the statement, doing what we do. So there's a trust factor with Uncommon Giving. And then, there's a data privacy. We're not going to share your information. We say it in our terms of use. If the donor wishes to stay anonymous, they have the ability to stay anonymous on our platform. And, I can speak from personal experience. When you give to multiple organizations, they end up mailing you end of year kind of, hey, here's an opportunity, close it out, but there's a real cost to that paper that they mail. We've gone electronic. And so it's an opportunity for donors to increase security, data privacy, increase trust, a best-in-class discoverable option to become aware of generosity. And then as we work to develop the platform and gamify it, we'll provide additional opportunities to really engage.
And I would say this from a Catholic perspective, we have something called Ignatian spirituality. And in this sort of way of living out your spirituality, we have something called the examine, where every day, a couple of times a day, we take a moment to reflect on the good and the bad that we did and in that day. And we ask for Jesus's grace to help us move forward, to overcome vice and build virtue and all of those things. This, I think, is a little piece of an examine, either on a monthly, weekly, yearly basis, that you can look and said, this is the good that I've done. These are the things. And then just as you said, like, get together with your family, with your children, print out a printing sheet. I suppose we can do that, of all of the nonprofits that we have helped, and talk about them, talk about the good that they're doing in the world. And what a beautiful examination to do with your children. You don't have to talk about the numbers, but you sure can talk about your heart for generosity and the good impact that you're making in the world. And I think that's super important.
Fran, I'll tell you, I'm kind of bouncing in my seat right now because this registers for me. And I know it's registered for our founder and for our board as well. The opportunity to create a giving fund, right? And then we have this giving archive that provides a list of all the different organizations that you've supported for that year. Well, this giving account, will stay with you for your life. And so your grandkids and your great grandkids are going to say, this is what my grandmother or grandfather was passionate about. Look, they were supporting an organization and now I'm working for that organization, or they're supporting an organization. I wonder why. And it will spark conversation, and that conversation will be centered around generosity. Yeah. And that's what we aspire to do. We want
what a heritage.
It's a legacy builder.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, I have one more technical question. So we've talked about the giving fund, and I just want to get all the terminology. I've seen on your website a giving wallet. What is a giving wallet?
Yeah.
Is that, or did I say that right?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
No, you nailed it. So the giving wallet.
What is it?
All right, here we go. When you come to our website, you have two ways to kind of give, so to speak. You can fund your wallet. And so you can, by fund, I mean, you can choose to take a bank or credit card, debit card, whatever you want, and ACH and put monies into a giving wallet and have those monies stay there. But when you do that, you receive the immediate tax deductibility of that gift, because those monies are actually not housed on the for-profit side, but they're actually housed with Uncommon Charitable Impact. So your giving wallet, it operates, for those who are familiar with this term, it operates as a donor advised fund.
Okay.
So it provides the immediate tax deductible benefit, but it gives you time to then recommend the direction of those monies 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, 2 years down the road, which is exciting because I'll tell you, and this is again a little teaser alert of what will happen here in the next 90 to 120 days. We're going to provide an investment opportunity based on monies held in a giving wallet. And that investment opportunity will be those monies can't be pulled out of the giving wallet because they've already been placed in. It's a tax deduction you've received. But what you can do is invest those monies through your giving wallet based on your risk tolerance and grow that principal to be more generous with it.
Wow.
So we are super excited about it. We have big things in store on this. And again, I wish I had more definitive news to be able to break on the Bellator Society.
We can't take too much good news in one day. So to me, it sounds kind of like if you're somebody that you, at the beginning of the year, you say, I'm going to give, $1,000 this year, this is in our budget for charities. You can just kind of put it there and let it sit there. And as you find things that you're passionate about, you can kind of direct it to those different organizations. Is that kind of basically what it is?
That's exactly right. That's
okay.
Exactly right. Or say end of year tax time, your accountant says, hey, you don't have enough deductions. I'd really encourage you to make some donations. What you can do through our giving wallet is receive the immediate tax deductibility of that gift, place the monies into your giving wallet, but you're not in a rush to then go identify those charities that would ultimately be the beneficiaries of those monies.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So you can, go into the next year, 6 months down the road and still give.
That's smart. That seems like smart giving.
I love it. As we close out, do we have any more technical questions? Do we need
no,
to,
I think
do we
that
need to
actually
grill him any more about the nitty gritty stuff?
That I told Dave, like
listening.
I told Dave, like we genuinely have some questions because it's so interesting. It's fascinating. I know it's good. But we were both a little confused of totally how like our listeners or maybe our followers, where their money would go and how it would get broken up. So you did fabulous.
Well, it's just so new and innovative.
Yeah.
And so whenever something is that different from the norm, like you do have questions like, how does that work? Why is this better than doing it, the old way? And I think you have been so capable of explaining all those things to us this morning, Dave. So thank you. I have one little tie up question, if you don't mind. How has generosity, I love your story about the Baldwins, the Christmas party. I think that's beautiful, but how has generosity affected you either as the giver or the receiver?
Well, as a giver, giving is so much more rewarding. And, as a person of faith, it's something that I think we're all called to do. And, we have a lot of funds. And again, this will be something that we'll talk about in the coming months, but we'll be releasing a lot of funds based upon helping the least of these. And so I think we're really excited about that piece. And that's where we as a company, we have this corporate culture that says, hey, we're focused on generosity. And there's no better job in the world for me than to wake up in the morning and be focused on generosity, because not just in building a company, but in building my family. It is constantly top of mind. And so being able to give, have the resources to give is hugely rewarding, and it's fun. And, I look forward to that day when we are engaging millions on our platform to be able to do the same and experience the same. So that's the thing that's just amazing. And then you see the blessings in every day when people receive, and through that receipt, give thanks. And this ties back into the 5 T's of giving, that thanks. We want to help nonprofits communicate that thanks to their donors. And they do that through giving impact videos that say, this is what you've done, and this wouldn't have been possible without you.
Yeah.
So I'm a generosity evangelist. I love generosity. I love talking to you, and I'm just so honored to be a part of the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was so fun. And like I said, we've been looking forward to it for for such a long time. I'm so excited we finally did it. And we're excited that we've got a giving fund on the Uncommon Giving platform. And we're going to have all the links. We'll put them in the comments here. And we just hope that if you have an extra $5 or $20 or whatever the case may be, if you go there, start your account, and it's no cost to you to start the account. It's just what you give, and you get the tax benefit, and you know that it's going directly 100% to the organization that you're of our choice, really.
And I did want to piggyback on that, Tracy, really fast, because I think it's important. And we didn't say it overtly. None of this money goes to us.
No,
we are fulfilling our mission, which is always to shine a light on the good, true, and beautiful in the world. And this is just our opportunity. Dave has given us, the McMasters, the Baldwins, Uncommon Giving has given us the opportunity to shine a light in the direction of nonprofits that we care about. And to that end, anyone in Bellator society, if you have a nonprofit that you care about, let us know about that too, because we do have the opportunity to add to our list of recipients. And we will be happy to do that research if you just give us some recommendations.
And one more, just to piggyback on you. This is why we have our last little bits on our podcast, because she gives an idea and it sparks something in my head. Our podcast on Friday is going to be about our favorite nonprofit. So if you do have something that you want to tell us about, let us know in the comments on this video, and that way we'll have some of your ideas to talk about for the podcast on Friday. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dave.
That was in unison. Thank you. That was impressive.
We practice.
Thank you.
It's choral. Sometimes we do choral stuff.
Have a great day, and we will talk to y'all later.
Bye.